Hi, my name is Joe Kempe. Welcome to another in a series of iPod repairs and upgrades. Today we're going to probably do the most requested upgrade, which is the hard drive. Now, the 160 gigabyte iPodClassic was the last, 7th generation iPodClassic was the last version Apple had come out with. Unfortunately, a lot of people run out of room on these. 160 gig formats to about 148 gigabytes of addressable capacity. That's not enough for some people. I found that the sweet spot is going to be 256 gigabyte, and we're going to go with a 256 gigabyte flash. And I'm going to show you how simple it is to do that. Now, this is the same iPod that I recently upgraded with a battery. Unfortunately, the hard drive is not working properly, so instead of replacing the mechanical hard drive with another mechanical hard drive that can break when you drop it even as much as one time, what we're going to do is we're going to update this with a 256 gigabyte flash drive. All right, I have the parts that I need in front of me here. This is an iFlash 250 gig, it's a 1 SDXC solo. That means that it only takes one flash drive, and that's all you really need. I don't like the duals and the quads unless you really need them, unless you really want to go high capacity, but unfortunately iTunes has an upper limit of songs, so I really don't like to go above 256. The 256 brand that I like the best is PNY. I've had very few failures with PNY. It's just something that I like. SanDisk is very good. Kingston is very good. But I happen to like PNY because the value, it's got a very, very good value. All right, the first thing we're going to do then is we're going to open up the iPod again. Now, I showed you before how simple it is to open up an iPodClassic. A lot of people complain about the iPodClassic, that it's very, very difficult to open. But if you watch my previous videos, you'll see that it's not as difficult as people make it out to be if you have the right tools. Okay, again, we're not going to use any blades or any crazy plastic and all that nonsense. We're going to do it very, very simply with a couple of screwdrivers and a couple of spudgers. And I want you to watch how I do this. Again, I'm going to set it on its side. The entry location again is this corner over here, this last quadrant opposite the click wheel. And what we're going to do again is we're going to insert the screwdriver in the corner, leave it in there, and start working around, knocking down the clips again. And you'll see that it'll start opening up a little bit easier this time because I've had it open a couple of times already, and that happens a lot. Okay, once it's open, again, what you're going to do is you're going to pull off the battery from the connector. Do not touch the tension bar. Again, do not open the tension bar on the battery cable. It's not necessary. Here is the hard drive. Again, all you're going to do is flip open the hard drive and undo the tension bar on the hard drive. Do not take off the ribbon cable. The ribbon cable is nicely glued on there, and it's glued in place, and it's also have a tension bar on the motherboard. Do not take it off because it's nice and stable there. All right. What I typically do is I remove the padding from these hard drives, and what you're going to do is just take the spudger and work around taking off the foam rubber. The reason why I like this is because it gives my my SD card a little bit of cushioning. So what I'm going to do is just take off the foam rubber because we don't need it anymore, and I don't want this thing flopping around. What we're going to do is plant this in place like that. Here is the iFlash solo card that I use. I like to use this one, and it's a wonderful card. This is a 256 gigabyte mini micro SD. You could use the full height as well. I'm going to go ahead and take this apart. All right, here we go. I'm going to insert this. You insert this into the Solo, and then what you're going to do is open the gate on the Solo card, and using a screwdriver, you're going to help push the flex into the Solo connector, and then once it's all the way up and in, what you're going to do is you're going to close the gate, and you're going to, what we're going to do now is we're going to format. I don't want to clip this closed and put all the padding and everything until I know that everything is in good working order. You can work with an open iPod. You do not need to close it all up right now. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to put back the battery, flip it over. Then you're going to, here's my computer, I'm going to wake this guy up, and we're going to go into, bring up iTunes, which is right there. And when iTunes comes up, we're going to plug this guy in, and you'll see right away it's going to recognize the iPod right here, and it's going to say iPod has detected, and iTunes has detected an iPod in memory mode, or in recovery mode, excuse me. And I'm going to go ahead and say okay, and I'm going to go ahead and restore it. This is a 205, which means that it is the latest version of the 7th generation, which is the best of the best. And here we go. We're formatting the drive right now. This has never been formatted. It's going to finish the process, reboot, and then it's going to say welcome. So it's going to go all the way across. Just take a little time. It's 256 gigabytes, which should give us about 230 gigabytes of addressable memory, which is a lot more than 148. Okay, it's going to reboot itself. It's going to say it recognized itself and is saying the iPod will restart. It's been restored. And you can see on the iPod, it's loading the firmware. You see I'm holding it kind of closed. It's not ready to be closed yet. Not until we finally get to the welcome screen. Kind of dim right now, but it's going to brighten up in a moment. It's connected. You'll see it's going to start syncing, or at least, and it's saying that it recognizes a D drive, which is fine on a PC. It's synchronizing. There, we got the welcome screen right now. So all we do is we say continue and say get started, and there you see it. You have 232 gigabytes of storage. And then once you have that, you can go ahead and eject the iPod. Hit the ejection button. You'll see it's safe to. I'll say that in a moment. You always want to eject. There it says ejecting, okay to disconnect. There we go. So it will now reboot itself. There we go. Go ahead, pick a language. I'm choosing English. And then what you want to do is go to settings, and you see you have 232 gigabytes of addressable memory. Once you have all of that, and it's looking good, the click wheel's working nicely, then you can go ahead and shut it down, hold the play button down, and you can go ahead now and finish up the installation. Again, I'm going to just pull the battery cable out, straight out, and then I use this little foam rubber to hold the SD card in place. And then what I do is I drop a couple of dabs of silicone glue. I use clear glue or black glue, silicone. The problem is this thing will eject itself if you get a little bit too aggressive with the iPod and you drop it or what have you. Once you have that all in place, you can go ahead. I'm not putting the glue on there just yet, but that's what I would do. I would just put the two black cushions in place, put a couple of drops of glue, maybe a piece of tape, run across the top, then reinsert the pads. Once you have it all nice in place, you see how nicely it fits. You go ahead, put the battery in place, use your fingernail, push it straight in, no tools. It'll reboot itself. Once you're satisfied, clip it closed and you're good to go. Then reintroduce it to your iTunes and go ahead and load all your music. I'll be doing another video on how to load music from an existing iTunes on another video. There you go. You have to re-input your language, and you see everything is in place. And again, you go to settings. It sees 232 gigabytes free. That's where you want to be. This is the most common, the most requested upgrade of all the iPods that I do, and it's the most stable. All right, well, thank you very much for viewing this, and I look forward to seeing you on another video. Have a wonderful day, and all the best.